Thinking of investing, working, or starting a business in the cannabis industry? We've got you covered right here on Plant Problems. Hosted by Anthony Frischknecht, Plant Problems takes a different approach to cannabis than what you're seeing and hearing from the mainstream media. Come along with Tony and be in the know about how to invest, work, or start a cannabis business. Let's get the show started with your host, Anthony Frischknecht.
Hello everyone, this is Tony with Plant Problems. Hope everyone's doing great today. I appreciate you guys listening in and hearing hopefully I can provide some interesting stories for you, as well as some good insight in what you may be going through right now or what you may be working on. Well, I was pondering on some different subjects to talk to you guys about, and cut back 5 seconds editing. I was thinking about how to, or what to, share with you on the subject of guts and what I mean by that. So whether you have started your business a while ago or recently, it strictly takes a lot of guts to make that step forward on any business, not just cannabis, but any business. And to the entrepreneur, that maybe kind of comes naturally, but for a lot of us, it's not so easy to take that leap of faith in order to better yourself, better your situation, whatever you're trying to do. Back when I was 2010 time period, I had started looking to commercialize my grow. So that required me to go on the search for warehouse space. This was pretty intimidating. I mean, I had a relatively small grow setting area with only about 20 lights, but I was looking to double or quadruple the area that I needed to grow commercially. So I had to step into a different mindset on how I was going to find the location, but also how I was going to afford it. You start mixing both those factors and get your heart racing pretty good. Well, in 2010, there were not a lot of landlords that were renting their warehouse space. You basically had to go find the space and then break it to the landlord what you were going to try to do was grow medical marijuana. Now, it wasn't illegal, of course, but it actually had passed in 2000, so 10 years prior. But still, there were so many people that were unaware of what was really happening in the Colorado market. So a lot of the times we would encounter landlords that were not willing to talk to us about working in the system or working in the medical production part of the system. Needless to say, there were a few of them out there. These landlords were open to the idea, but as some of you are probably finding out either now or have, that came with a price. So once you found your space, you thought you were, all right, I found my spot. I remember the first spot I found that seemed like it would fit what I was looking for. It was an empty warehouse. There was a lot of empty warehouse space. And it seems like that's kind of it's kind of what's happened in the market in the majority of the newer markets outside of Colorado, California. I mean, everybody's sucking up all this empty warehouse space, which is creating its own issues for other people that are manufacturers. But we found a space, and I remember meeting the landlord at the front of this building. Nice big pine tree out front. Grass was all lush. You know, I was so used to working out of a house. It was a challenge for my mind to get over the fact that I was going to be able to do this in a warehouse. Not only that, but I was going to be doing it out in the open in front of neighbors and law enforcement and whoever, city officials, building department. all these things add their own little bit of stress. So I meet the landlord, this little space in this commercial district, and introduces himself, seemed like a pretty normal guy. And he starts to open the door to the front of the building. And it was just really odd to me as we're walking in this office space, thinking, oh my gosh, this could be it. This could be where I'm going to create my amazing business. I walked in the front door, and there was a space. It was about 1,200 square feet. Like you could have had a receptionist there, had a little office off to the left with that was about 600 square feet, be an executive office, and then a hallway about 20 feet down to another door. They start showing me space around, and all I can think about is, okay, let's get to the back. I want to see the warehouse itself. So I kind of went through looking up at the ceiling, looking down to the ground of the carpet. It wasn't really that exciting. And so, can we check out the warehouse? Sure. So we walk down the hallway past 2 bathrooms, and door opens up to the first space, and it's completely wide open. There's a wall about 20 feet in front of me, and the length of the room was 40 feet by 20 feet. So it was a big space. And I'm like, oh, this is looking good. So just to the left of the door as you walk in, there's also a little lunchroom. So I'm like, perfect. This is going to be great for people to have lunch, have that set up. And now we've got we've got one space. All right. So this is probably in my mind, I'm thinking this smaller room is going to be our veg area. So the landlord starts talking to me. We start discussing power and how much power they have. And it's starting to fit into what I think will work. If you guys are out there growing, the space is really worth nothing unless you have the power. And usually you have one or the other. It's hard to have both. The reason why I picked this particular place is because it used to be an old manufacturer welding space. So there was a lot of power that they were using. And I'm thinking, we've got some good power. This will definitely work. Because you don't just need power to run the lights. You have to have power to run the air conditioning units. They take as much power or more than the lights do. Back then, now we're starting to get in some more efficient lights, so that's helpful. So my mind starts running on how I can lay this thing out, how we can start building our veg area. And then he takes me to the back space. And that space was we walked through these 2 double doors open up, and that space is it's probably about 4,000 square feet. And I'm like, oh my God, I could put 100 lights in here. This is amazing. My mind is racing, and, and so is my heart at the same time. And looking at Steve and knowing he was willing to rent me this as a marijuana grow area, I was just like, oh my gosh, I've hit the gold mine. So I started looking around the back area, asking about the actual power units. There's some big transformers over by the main box, and we we're looking at that and start talking it. And then, of course, he probably saw it on my face, I'm guessing. And what do you charge for a space like this? And so, well, it's $5,600 a month. And I was like, well, that's not bad at all. I was paying for 2 houses at the time, and that was costing me more than this space was. But it was a lot of space I had to take it on. It was a lot I had to undertake and be like, okay, boy, I've got to fill this out, and I've got to also find all the equipment. All this whole time I didn't have any equipment besides, well, I did have a little equipment. I had probably enough to fill a quarter of the space. So, but I didn't care. I was like, this is going to work. I can do this. So I started docking some details with him, and we walked towards the back parking lot, which is right out the back of the warehouse door. Had a nice big area, and that's where we were discussing everything. And I was just looking around thinking to myself as, if you're going to do it, this is probably the opportunity to take. And so, I have an idea that there's a lot of you out there that have been in that position where you want to take it. It may seem a little bigger than what you can swallow at the time, but to actually take that and swallow it down and say, I'm in, that takes a lot of guts to do that. And I know that you guys out there that you understand where I'm coming from. And for the people that haven't been through that process, I'll tell you that it feels uncomfortable, and that's going to put you in that position where, that uncomfort means you're growing as not only as a person, but a business owner. You're taking more under your management, and maybe more than you think you can at the time, in order to expand and grow. And as entrepreneurs, we have to do that. We've got to see that vision of growth and fill those spaces. It's so easy to get caught up into the details of actually building structures of your company. And the entrepreneur needs to look for the future of the company all the time. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that struggles with keeping that in balance as you move forward. But that's a big part of running a company. And whether you have a partner that's the visionary or you're the visionary, you have to have that in order to keep growing your company. So at the time, I was the visionary growing the company and taking these big leaps and steps. So I want to urge you to get uncomfortable as an entrepreneur and put yourself out there as either a manager or you're the technical type, and expand your vision, expand your horizon. So leaving with you with taking that step, and takes guts. We'll say that. Using your gut takes guts. I hope you enjoyed Plant Problems today, and I will talk to you real soon. Bye for now.
You've just listened to another insightful episode of Plant Problems. If you like what you heard so far, don't forget to tell your friends and colleagues. For additional resources or to leave a review, head over to plantproblem.com. Join us again next week on Plant Problems with Tony Frischknecht. We look forward to having conversations with you as we go along this journey.